Hi guys, thanks for joining me today. I'm Marilyn and my channel is Making with Marilyn. Now usually on my videos I do some type of craft and today's going to be a little bit different. Today I want to show you what I do almost on a daily basis to maintain my A4 ProColored DTF printer. Now I haven't printed on it since I filmed my last video, so I filmed it either 3 or 4 days ago. I'm not sure which, but it's been 3 or 4 days since I printed on this printer. I haven't done any maintenance today. We're going to go through that together and we're going to see how it works. Now, I assume that my first print might not be perfect. And so what I do the first time I'm printing something, I print a tiny little sample of it and then I look to see if it's ready. If it is, I print the large one. If it's not, I continue with maintenance. So let me move the camera so you can really see what I'm doing. Now, today's video isn't going to be how you print or anything like that. If you want to see how you print, in my last video I showed that, and then in my unboxing video, I showed you how to download the software, how to get it onto your computer, and pretty much the whole setup. So maybe you have a DTF printer and you haven't set it up yet. Maybe you've ordered one and you need to know what to do when it gets here, or maybe you're considering getting one and you're just not sure if you want to deal with the maintenance. If that's you, then stick around. So if you're unfamiliar with DTF, it's a special printer, and this is a printer that didn't used to be a DTF printer, but this company took it, added some features, and now it's capable of DTF printing. Let's talk about some of the things that makes it a viable DTF printer. First of all, you have your ink system over here, so a sys system. So it's continuous ink. This is flowing through tubes, going through some dampers, or you might call them cartridges. But this holds the majority of your ink right here. Now, there's a shaker system or a stirring system on this printer because DTF inks are made differently than sublimation ink or your typical pigment or dye-based inks. And in particular, the white ink can be the culprit. When I first put my ink into this printer, I noticed that the white ink on my fingers, it was almost kind of a, I don't want to say gritty, but it was really dry and somewhat gritty. I guess I'd say somewhat gritty. And so that white ink is the biggest culprit on clogging up your print head. So there's a couple features that try to minimize those clogs. Now the first one is the stirring or shaking system. It does it multiple times through the day just on its own. But when I'm getting ready to do my maintenance, the first thing I do is I go ahead and I have it agitate that ink. So the button to do that's right here. You press it and it starts doing its thing. And I believe this lasts for approximately 1 minute. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now once that's complete, I go ahead and I do a print head cleaning. It is super easy to do and it doesn't take very long. So there's a button right here that has a little ink droplet, and if you hold that in for a few seconds, you can hear that it's starting. Okay, so now it's going through its print head cleaning. Now while it's doing that, it's depositing just a little bit of ink back in a waste bottle back here. It's basically moving just a little bit of ink through the lines, through the print head, so that you have fresh ink in there. Now once that's over, I do one more agitation. Now on days when I'm not printing, that's all I do. But on a day that I'm going to print, here's the next step. I take a piece of film. Now this is not a whole piece of film because the last time I did this, I had a really small image here and I cut it off. Actually, I think it was at the other end, but that part doesn't matter. So I'm going to go ahead and load this in. And now I'm sending a tiny little image to the printer to print it. I want to see how the white does on the back of the ink. Again, the colors of ink, those usually aren't the issue. The issue is usually that white ink. Now I love about DTF printing that you can raise this and you can watch it print. So there's the colors, and is the white printing on top of it? I can't really tell from where I'm standing. It looks like it is, but it looks like it's thin. Okay, so it looks like at the very beginning of that print, that white was thin, but as it printed, look how much better it got. So there's the front of my tiny little image. And there's the back. And see at the top of that how that white ink is thin? But through the rest of it, it got better. So I'm going to print this one more time. Now you can see this time, again, the front looks good and the back looks good. So I'm ready to print. Now I'm printing a different picture. This is a picture that I printed a while back. I put it on a shirt. I tried that shirt on today. It was too tight. So I'm going to remake that shirt with today's print. Now, it wasn't my plan to show the whole process. I just wanted to show you my daily maintenance. But since I'm going to be making this into a shirt anyway, I might as well show it. So here, I'm just putting the DTF powder on. This is Yamation brand. And yes, I put a lot on. And then I'm just going to tilt this back and forth several times to make sure that all that ink gets coated with this DTF powder. Now once I'm done with that, this excess powder is not wasted. It's going to go right back into the container. Now speaking of that container, I got that at the Dollar Tree store. The powder actually came in kind of a pouch or a bag, but I like it in this canister. All right, so let's go ahead and tilt it up, tap it, get the excess off, and hopefully you can see this. It really just looks like a fine sugar. And then all the way over here, I have the DTF oven. Now you don't have to use one of these. It's a convenience, but you can use other things as well. Some people use a griddle. Some people use a dedicated toaster oven. So whatever you want to use is fine. It is nice to have this though. Now I have it set at 120 degrees Celsius. I can see it's falling, but that'll go right back up. And I'm going to cure this for 150 seconds. Now once I turn that on, there's a fan that starts, and then there's an air filter over here. So it's pushing the air through that air filter. All right, so now I can go ahead and lift this up. And then this little tool came with mine. It's like a little suction cup. Now you're not going to suction it and pick it up. You're just going to push it down, slide your print over, then you can grab it. So you see how shiny that is? That's that powder that melted and then solidified back so you can press it on your shirt. Now you guys have seen me make this before. It's nothing new and exciting, but I want to go ahead and show the rest of it on the video real quickly. So it says Boss Behavior, and then on the back you have your DTF powder, It's been cured and it's dry. Now, even though I didn't show you everything on the computer today, because I have done that before, you do have to remember you mirror your image. Now, my printer does have an automatic mirror setting. I haven't turned that on yet, so I always just do it manually, but I will be changing that soon. Here's the shirt I'm going to use. It is a Bella Canvas light pink v-neck shirt. I love this color, and I think it's going to look gorgeous with the brown and the black on it. Now, I've gone ahead and preheated this to remove moisture, and then I used a lint roller to remove any excess fibers. But I see one right there. Now, unlike sublimation, this isn't so hot and you're not pressing it so long that they're not going to turn blue or some weird color, but you don't want anything sticking out from under your DTF transfer. So I'm just going to use right here as the middle, put it right under my V. I feel like behavior goes uphill just a little bit. Let's modify that slightly. And then I'm going to put a little bit of heat-resistant tape on this so that when I walk this to the heat press, it stays where I want it. Now I'm going to press this at 325 degrees for 10 seconds. Then I'm going to bring it right over here. We're going to let it cool down. After I peel this carrier sheet off, I'm going to put a piece of parchment paper on it, press it again at 325 for 10 seconds. That just kind of really sinks it into the shirt. You know, once you get rid of this thicker film on top, the parchment paper allows the heat to make this really sink into the shirt. Now, another thing I want to tell you, when I press this, I press it at a really firm pressure. And I use a typical heat press. I don't use my auto press. I like being able to control the pressure for this. Now, did I get that crooked? It'll be fine. All right, that has cooled down. So I'm going to take a corner. I'm going to peel it back just to make sure it's coming up very easily, and it is. That comes off so nicely. There's what we have so far. It is super nice. I mean, you could just leave it like this, but I always do that second pressing because right now this is fairly smooth. I can barely feel that it's on there, but I really love how it looks and feels after you add that second press. So here's my parchment paper. I just keep using the same piece over and over. That hasn't caused any issues with mine. So I'm going to press this again at 325 for 10 seconds. I love that so much more. Now, you probably can't tell on camera, but let me hold this up again. Maybe you can kind of see the texture of the shirt through that. I'm not really sure. But it looks better and it feels better. Well, it looks about the same, but it feels better and I feel better. So thanks so much for joining me today. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. If you're interested in a ProColored printer, they are having a big September promo going on right now. I showed you on my last video what that was, so I'll link that last video in the video description. Then I'll also give you my link to ProColored. If you use that, I do receive a referral fee. If you do, I appreciate that. Thanks again for joining me, and until my next video, bye-bye. Now, usually I do some kind of